Joining us now, Martha Bonetta. Now, you can follow her on Twitter at Paris Barnes. You can't follow me on Twitter because I've been banned. Also, Martha Bonetta will be guest hosting the John Fredericks Show all by her lonesome on Tuesday, April 16th. She'll be here with Kiara. Martha, welcome.
Good morning, John. Good morning. Wait a minute. Now, I want you to know that hashtag Godzilla is going to take off because this is ridiculous. I mean, can we talk about this? Because all I know is that yesterday my phone started blowing up from people all over the place saying, did something happen to John? What happened to John? Because they couldn't find you on Twitter. Or when they did find you, it was clear that you had been blocked, that you had been put in Twitter prison. And everybody kept saying, what did he do? What did he do? And I'm sure you experienced the same thing, right?
Yes.
And,
yes.
you know, the way I understand the way Twitter works is that if somebody doesn't like you, all they have to do is basically claim that you did something to offend them.
Right.
And then at that point, Twitter launches an investigation. But why not do the investigation first before putting you in Twitter prison? That's what I want to know.
I don't really know how it works. I mean, I only found out because I tried to send a tweet and it said your account has been suspended. And so then it said, look at the rules. So I looked at the rules and I'm like, well, I didn't violate any of those rules. I don't do hate speech. I don't threaten people. I don't do spam. I don't sell ads on it. So I didn't do any of that. So, but so I filed an appeal, but they give you no reason, right? Why you're blocked.
That's right.
So I have no earthly idea. I filed an appeal and I got no response from that. So what happens?
Well, you're absolutely right. And I think in this case, it's because we talked about what some of your last tweets were. They weren't offensive. You didn't threaten anybody, you know, and I think it might be politically motivated. What else could it be? You're a strong supporter for the president. You were chairman of the Virginia campaign for Trump. You're at the White House all the time. What else could it possibly be other than the fact that John Fredericks was the first to predict that the president would win the primary and become president? And you've been a staunch supporter ever since. There's no other explanation than to explain why your account was just mysteriously shut down when you haven't violated any of the crimes that would put you in Twitter prison.
Well, that's it. I mean, if you're even close to violating one of the rules, but as someone said earlier, their rules are kind of nebulous, like they're open for discretion, but no hate speech.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right, and that's the concern. And one of the things we talked about is that, you know, when you build a following, you build up this following over a period of time, and that's based on people getting to know you, they like you, they want to follow you, and then all of a sudden you're shut down. You know, you might have to start a new Twitter account, and then you're going to have to start all over again.
Well, I mean, it took me 8 years on the radio to build up 15,000 followers. Now, that's not a lot, but it's respectable. But I didn't do it by, advertising on Facebook or promoting anything. It was just organic. That's how we got it. So, but I would hate to start over. And I mean, if they did that, here's the problem. If somebody could just complain about you, basically you complain about any political enemy you have and shut them down.
That's right. That's exactly right. And it's just another way to silence, let's say, conservatives, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, so so if somebody doesn't like the fact that you're a Trump supporter, or maybe they don't like that you supported a candidate, they can just come out and just literally shut you down. I mean, it's egregious. And but here's the thing. Obviously, John Fredericks, your voice is so powerful that somebody out there decided to want to silence you, right? I mean, do they silence people that aren't making a difference, or do they silence people that aren't being proactive and speaking truth to power and shaking up the status quo? No, because obviously you're doing something that has them concerned about getting the vote out, making your voice heard in support of our president and of candidates that support an America First agenda, that support Donald Trump, that support the Donald Trump Mike Pence administration, right?
You're on the John Fredericks Radio Network. Great to have you with us today. We're chatting with Martha Bonetta. She is a longtime political activist, Trump supporter. She had Mike Pence at her farm in the just before the 2016 election. She's been to the southern border of the United States multiple times, and she has now become a world and national traveler on behalf of the causes that she believes in. And she'll also be guest hosting my show right here in Portsmouth on Tuesday, April 16th, while I will be on vacation in Myrtle Beach at a baseball tournament with the fam. So, Martha, I thank you for that. So what your thesis is here is that I didn't violate any rules of Twitter.
Correct.
But so somebody complained about me to shut me down because they didn't like what I was saying. Isn't that censorship?
Absolutely, it's censorship. Absolutely. And here's something else, is that as we get into 2020, because my prediction is that President Trump's going to win by a landslide. I mean, it's going to be. I mean, the opposition, the left, has become so radical. They keep throwing these candidates up there that are saying the craziest things, and I think that as we get closer to 2020, we're going to see a lot more of this. I just predict we're going to see a lot more of this kind of thing, these tactics where, it's let's shut down John Fredericks. Why? Because he has a national audience. He's growing his following, by the second. So let's just shut him down. That way, nobody can hear his voice, or at least they'll try to make that be the case. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that as we approach 2020. And there's two ways to look at this. One is, well, obviously you're being very effective, or they wouldn't even bother.
Right.
And the other way to look at it is that we're going to find out who did it, because all you have to do is I guess through your appeal that they'll tell you who made the complaint. So whoever was out there who did this, we're going to find out who you are.
Right. Well, and then we have a platform to expose the nonsense. But so far, I've not heard anything from Twitter, and hopefully I will. Meantime, you can follow Martha Bonetta on Twitter at Paris Barnes, and also if you have a Twitter account, send out hashtag Free Godzilla of Truth, hashtag Free Godzilla of Truth. I'd appreciate it. Now, Martha, let's get into some Virginia politics. Here's a stunning result of the Christopher Newport University Wasson Center poll that just came out. And I just want to get your perspective. Okay.
I heard that about Justin Fairfax. I'm stunned.
Stunning.
I'm absolutely stunned.
61% approval rating.
I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone.
Yes. Now,
I'm just waiting for somebody to say, this is the Twilight Zone, we were just kidding. I mean, you've got to be kidding me.
It's 61%. I mean, 61%. I haven't had a chance to look into the breakdown. But look, we didn't call on Justin Fairfax to resign because I believe in due process. I also am shocked that the Democrats, led by Eileen Filler-Corn, the minority leader, Caucus of the Corn, didn't give a hearing to these women in the General Assembly that they asked for, the two alleged victims. But the fact that after all this, Fairfax's approval rating in Virginia is 61%, to me is just a shocking number.
Where are all of the Justin Fairfax supporters that were screaming and yelling about Kavanaugh? Do you remember the Kavanaugh hearings?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yep.
It was guilty. It was, he's unfit to be a justice. It was what they put Kavanaugh through and his poor family. I mean, I was there. It was absolutely outrageous. It was egregious. And to put this poor man and his family through this was so awful. And the allegations against Justin Fairfax are serious. I mean, these allegations are so egregious, and yet from women that have come forward, and yet there's where are all of those where's all those folks that were out there screaming about Kavanaugh?
I really don't know. I don't know how he's at 61%. And look, I got to give a shout out, another one, because he just tuned in, right? I got to give another shout out to James Beamer of Dominion Energy, who came on my show a couple weeks ago before the tournament started and predicted that the Virginia Hoos were going to win the tournament. And I said, I don't think they'll get past the Sweet 16. So, Jim Beamer, Dominion Energy, go to dominionenergy.com. Jim Beamer, you were right, and you deserve a double shout-out today. This is the second one for Beamer. And he did predict the Virginia would win the tournament, and he predicted that before it started, the day before it started. So, good job, Jim.
Well, Jim Beamer is a great guy, too. He not only does he predict these things, but he's also a really great guy.
Hashtag Free Godzilla of Truth. Martha, let's get to some local politics. There's an interesting race going on. Tina Freitas, wife of Nick Freitas, the House of Delegates member, might run. I predict that Nick is going to run for Congress against Abigail Spanberger. But Nick Freitas, his wife, Tina Freitas, running against Emmett Hanger in a Republican primary for Senate. Now they're whining about the primary, saying that, well, Democrats are going to cross over and vote in that primary for Hanger. Let me give you my response, and then I want to get your take on it. Okay?
Sure.
I hate conventions, okay? So I'm for a primary 100% of the time because conventions are destroying the party from within. It's a cancer. It's a cancer that spreads. As far as Democrats voting in a primary, that is like such nonsense. You know, there is so little evidence of that anywhere that's ever happened. And here's my advice to Tina Freitas, who I'm backing for her candidacy. Let's find a way to get more Republicans out so that you win. That's it. I mean, he's got his votes. You got your votes. It's the district. It's an open primary. Stop whining about who's voting in it and get more votes than him and win. It's really as simple as that. What say you?
So you've endorsed Tina Freitas,
yes,
correct?
Yes.
And I have as well. And here's my thoughts on this. First of all, Emmett Hanger, he's always been a wonderful gentleman to me in the General Assembly when I've had a question, when I need to speak to him. But I'm endorsing Tina Freitas because of a variety of reasons. Substantially in terms of some of the votes that he's made. Mm-hmm. But, as far as Democrats coming out to vote on our side of the aisle, could that happen? Does that happen? Sure, it does happen. I mean, that kind of thing does happen. Mm-hmm. And as far as, how do we control that? What do we do? Well, I mean, unless you want to have registration by party, I don't know how we're ever going to stop that.
Well, you're not.
I mean, you tell me.
You're not going to stop it. So my advice is to the Freitas campaign and to the Bull Elephant, stop whining about it and go out and get more votes. It's as simple as that. Appeal to a broad section of people that will be motivated to come out. It is very tough to motivate a Democrat to come out and vote for Emmett Hanger. Like, who cares? That is really tough to do. They got something else going on that day, right? There's a lot of other things to do. Get more votes. It's very simple. Get your people out, get a broad message, and win your race. And stop whining about who's going to vote in it. I mean, that's the same thing the Eric Cantor people did. They said, oh, Democrats voted for Dave Bratt in that primary. Baloney. Republicans voted for Dave Bratt because they were sick and tired of Eric Cantor. And Tina Freitas is going to win this race because they're sick and tired of Emmett Hanger. He doesn't do anything. And he's been there too long, and it's time for change.
That's exactly right.
It's time to disrupt. Listen. We need to send new, energetic people into the House that can fight and combat the very liberal House members that have changed things there. And you can't fight with somebody with a pop gun like Emmett Hanger. You got to bring fighters in there. That's why I'm for Tina.
Well, sure. And listen, Emmett Hanger has been in the Virginia General Assembly for a long time. And, I didn't see him out there supporting Donald J. Trump when he was running for president. I haven't seen him out there supporting the president's platform since President Trump has been in office.
Absolutely.
And frankly, you hit the nail on the head. We need people like Tina Freitas in the General Assembly. I know her. I've seen her, met her children. I've even met her mother-in-law. So I've met the whole family. And she's a brilliant, accomplished woman. I'm looking forward to seeing her in the General Assembly. And, it's a matter of, as you just said, we need Tina Freitas in the General Assembly. And as far as Democrats voting, I think we can't control that, and we're just going to have to get out the vote.
That's right. I want fighters. That's why I'm for Tina. I hope she wins. And but stop whining and stop these conventions, which are killing the party. Let me make another prediction, Martha, and then I have to go. Joe Morrissey is going to beat Roz Dance on June 11th in that Democratic primary in Petersburg. Morrissey is going to win, and quite frankly, I don't think it's going to be close.
Well, and can I tell you, Joe Morrissey has a loyal following. I mean, you know, when I travel around the state, people love him. I mean, they just love him. You know me, John. I talk to everybody. I talk to the person who's driving the Uber. I talk to people that I meet, you know, everywhere I go. I'll talk to anybody and ask them, you know, about their politics. Why do they like these candidates? You know, what are their thoughts about issues in Virginia and our country? I talk to people everywhere I go, and people love Joe. They love him.
You got it. Martha Bonetta, we're out of time. Thank you for joining us today. Martha Bonetta guest hosting the John Fredericks Radio Network on Tuesday, April 16th, right here in God's country in Portsmouth, Virginia.
And it's going to be the best show ever.
Anytime you do the show, it's the best show ever. And you'll be able to meet Kiara Johnson. She's excited about it. She's going to take good care of you. And we will see you soon.